Artists must have time to do nothing. This time must be defended. Creative solitude, healing alone. Artists need small joys. Vacuuming, cleaning, making a lovely meal, then sitting down and cleaning the desk before curling up with my laptop and watching YouTube shorts for 3 hours. Small joys, avoidance, and the should of needing work. Still at it. Now every week is taking a few weeks because some of the exercises are leading to things. But here we are. Week 4. This week, you may find yourself grappling with changing self-definition. The essays, tasks, and exercises are designed to catapult you into productive introspection and integration of the new self-awareness. This may be both difficult and exciting for you. Warning, do not skip the tool of reading deprivation, which I later realized is actually media deprivation. When I first started doing this book, it was to try and get my TV show made. I'm trying to get a TV show made before I turn 40, and I'm currently none of your business. So this week was about, the main exercise of it is reading deprivation. Because of the available time that I now have, having done a social media detox and like content consumption cessation, I've been doing a lot more things. I've made space for a lot more things in week 4. And week 4 was 3 weeks for me. For reading deprivation, I didn't watch any YouTube videos. I didn't watch any, well, I haven't been watching any short form content, but I was not reading anything that is not work related. So I stopped actually reading like books, except obviously this book. Zero reading on the internet, like no articles, no nothing. People send me memes, people send me Instagram videos. Do not watch. Oh, and no podcasts. So I was pretty much just like sitting with my thoughts for as long as this whole week was. And I only did that for 1 week. Now I still watch television, and I think that may have compromised the efficacy of this exercise, because in 1980, 90, whatever, when this was written, reading was like the primary mode of media consumption in general. But now I think it means more like media deprivation, not really reading deprivation. So if I were to do this exercise again, which I plan on doing, I probably will also not watch TV. And I cannot tell you how many times I sat on that couch and I was just like, I literally don't know what to do with myself. And something came out of that. Now, mind you, it has been something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, which is take a sketch comedy writing class. And I did. And it was great. It was 4 weeks and I wrote 4 sketches, and they're all first drafts. I don't remember the last time I had gotten that much writing done so quickly. I was thinking about it, sitting in a writer's room with all of my fellow sketch writing class takers, and there was a back and forth, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So not only is this a collaborative way of writing, much better than just like wrestling with yourself at home, it also, you know, people punch up your material, and it's pretty great. And it's a new experience that I don't think I would have done as mindfully had I not been doing it while reading this book and doing these exercises. Worth noting that during this time, I was having the wildest dreams, mostly stress dreams. Now, I can't say, like, it's not the content of the dreams that was like, oh my God, I dreamt of this and that. No, it was mostly just like me feeling things while I'm trying to sleep or during my sleep. I felt it was like kind of an emotional purge, like I needed to get these feelings out. And they kind of made me feel really kind of energized and activated to take on the task of making a TV show before I turned 40. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So like, you know, when you have like, when the car is packed up and like the gas is full and you're ready to go, but you actually just don't have a destination. You're like, where to now? So I reached out to my network and I was like, hey, like this is where I'm at. I had some interesting coffee chats with some folks that I know, and I kind of have a good direction of where I'm supposed to go, which is I need to write something. I need to write a teaser for this TV show. Listen to this passage from God Has Lots of Money. God has lots of movie ideas, novel ideas, poems, songs, paintings, acting jobs. God has a supply of loves, friends, houses that are all available to us. By listening to the Creator within, we are led to our right path. On that path, we find friends, lovers, money, and meaningful work. Very often, we cannot seem to find an adequate supply. It is because we are insisting on a particular human source of supply. We must learn to let the flow manifest itself where it will, not where we will it. One thing that's really cool also about this chapter is like purging crazy makers from your life, which is people who are just like constantly adding chaos. And she gives a lot of crazy examples. And I was like, holy shit, like I do have 1 or 2 that they actually like they do slow me down. They slow me down creatively. They slow me down in a lot of different ways. I've kind of kept them at a comfortable distance for the longest time, but I was like, you know what? Even this comfortable distance is becoming uncomfortable. And I was just like, whoosh, done. And that has felt amazing. Wow, so much mental clarity, so much like space for myself to just feel at peace. And don't let anybody tell you that you need to create from a place of chaos. This like genius, neurotic person who's like, I can't work like this. Anyone who creates outside of a sense of peace and outside of a sense of comfort, no matter what the material is not doing their best work. And to be doing my best work, I need to be feeling a lot of peace. And getting rid of crazy makers has been key in this process. When reading week was over, I started reading like my life depended on it. Like I'm not one of those like, oh my gosh, I love curling up and like, burying my nose in a little book. I'm not like, I don't read that much, okay? I mean, I was trying to read more. I've always been trying to read more, but once I cut out short form content consumption or just like spending too much time with my phone altogether, whether it's for content or for not, I was like, well, I gotta do something. And I started reading, and I'm like 3 or 4 books in since my last check-in video. And I was just like, which is, been a while. But I mean, telling people that reading is good for them is like telling people that smoking is bad for them. Like everybody knows, but nobody does it. You're like, I know, okay, you're reading, you're expanding your mind. But reading like works, you guys. Oh my gosh, like books? Lately, what I've been trying to do is write something in the evening, like, send a question out to the ether, be like, dear creator, like I'm seeking clarity about this specific topic. And then in the morning when I'm writing my morning pages, I listen for the answer. And there have been some breakthroughs. There's been some breakthroughs. Generally, I would say this week has been pretty dope. I think I need to do the exercise of media deprivation. I just have to adapt it in a way where I feel like I can get more out of it, because like not reading is just not a thing anymore. Like you have to not only not read, but like not watch, like not consume media. It's media deprivation. One thing that has really helped me kind of grapple with or really kind of internalize the lessons from week 4 is thinking of myself as a person who is fishing in this cosmic river of creativity. And when you go fishing, full disclosure, I don't go fishing. I've never fished them. Actually, that's not true. I fished once in my life and I caught a fish. My friends refused to eat it, but it was, say, not in a good enough condition to put back in the lake, but I did it anyway. I don't know if I should include this part. So when you go fishing, you can either just go fishing, in your swimsuit and your bare hands, and you may catch something or you may not. Obviously, it's going to be harder to catch fish with your bare hands. But if you want to go fishing the correct way, you put on your boots, you put on your, fishing pants, and then you get your rod and your lures, and you take some snacks for the day, some drinks for the day, your hat, some sunscreen, and then you go fishing in the cosmic river of creative ideas. And then you're more likely to be able to fish for longer and catch bigger things because you have the right tools. This is week 5. This week, you're being asked to examine your payoffs in remaining stuck. You will explore how you curtail your own possibilities by placing limits on the good you can receive. You will examine the cost of settling for appearing good instead of being authentic. You may find yourself thinking about radical changes, no longer ruling out your growth by making others the cause of your constriction. A lot to unpack here. To me, feeling stuck means, specifically creatively, means getting comfortable, which is, depending on where you are in your life, like getting comfortable can be a really great thing, especially if you've experienced a lot of uncertainty in your life. And now you're just like, oh my gosh, like a flow state of like normal, steady normalcy is not something that I necessarily want to like, it's not a feeling that necessarily wants me to go and like rock the boat. You know what I mean? But like, oh my God, stability, let me disrupt it. Let me just like do something radical. But there are certain things that I've been doing that I feel like I have been using to hinder myself creatively, which is whenever I want to create, I'm usually, the first feeling is anxiety. It's not whenever I sit down to write or whenever I sit down to draw or whenever I sit down to do anything. Even the idea of creating, it brings about in me this, oh my God, we have to start planning it. We have to start doing it. We have to like, oh my God, a schedule. Do I need new gear? Do I need, okay. And it's just like, it's not good. And that anxiety, I usually calm down, self-soothing behavior that's not always productive. That's not always healthy even. And I'm going to read you something that captures this anxiety perfectly. Ask yourself, are you being self-destructive? She asks you this all the time. She's like, are you being self-destructive? And then you're like, of course not, blah, blah, blah. The first feeling is defensiveness, but she's probing to see if we find ways to avoid doing what we want to do for any reason whatsoever. She says, are you saying that being creative is selfish? Are you putting off creativity because you think it's selfish to create? Because you think it's silly and absurd to spend your time doing silly creative things as opposed to, using it seriously or productively? Answering this question requires very thorough knowledge of oneself. Why do we delay creating? Why am I avoiding the creative tasks that I have to be doing by doing ones that I don't really necessarily need to do? So this anxiety around creating manifests itself usually in the following cycle. I need to write this teaser, right, to make this TV show before I turn 40. And when I get really anxious about this, I start doing like avoidant behavior. Be like, oh, well, maybe I actually need to clean, or maybe I need to draw, or maybe I need to go for a walk, or maybe I need to do literally anything else. At first, it sounds like, oh, you're just kind of avoiding doing the thing that you say you want to do. Even recording this video, I've been telling myself I want to do it for the longest time, but whether it's physiotherapy, whether it's going to my job, whether it's doing all these projects, whether it's my sketch comedy writing class, the question of my capacity is always in flux for me. So is this idea of being selfish. She says artists need time to do nothing. Artists need time to experience small joys in their life. I need to go on walks. I need to, have a clean apartment. I need to go to physiotherapy. I need to do my job. These aren't things that are optional. Am I doing these things as a way to avoid doing the actual work? She's constantly telling me to play as a way to make space for the larger task of creating that I'm trying to do. I'm always asking myself, like, am I just playing, or am I just using this activity as a way to avoid doing the real work that I need to do? This is what I wrote for myself. Why is creating so low on my list of priorities? This creative task of writing a teaser falls lower on my list of priorities than shooting and editing this YouTube video, than cleaning, than going to my job, than doing anything on my to-do list. Now, the rational explanation today is I have to do these things because I need to do them to live my life. I need to do things that are essential because I need to pay my bills, and I need to take care of my health, and I need to recharge my social battery. And all these things take precedent for a very good reason. My journey in being an artist involves this constant push and pull between discipline and self-compassion, between forcing myself to do this work and forcing myself to actively rest. I'm constantly asking myself, am I being lazy? Am I supposed to be working right now? Should I be doing more? Or do I genuinely have the right to do nothing? Who's giving me this right? Where are these questions coming from? This constant push and pull between should I be working, should I be resting, should I be playing, should I be doing the real work, or should I be doing the playful, less real work? It is exhausting to constantly be wondering whether you deserve rest or whether you deserve to play. And this question doesn't come from nowhere, right? I'm not the only person who's constantly stuck in this cycle. A lot of us were constantly told when we were younger that creating or playing or wanting to do art is a stupid, selfish, waste of time activity. And now that I'm in my mid-30s, that voice is not any quieter, despite the fact that I fully rationally understand that it's incorrect to think that. When you're like me and you have ADHD, time blindness is a real thing. If I were to reflect back on the past few weeks where I was doing these exercises and you were to ask me, can you give me a general idea of what you've accomplished creatively? My instinct, if I were to go solely off the feel, would skew negative, just because people with ADHD are really hard on themselves, generally speaking. I know I am. And I would tell you, man, I don't know. I have nothing to say since my last video, man. I didn't do shit. But actually, I did a lot of stuff. Focus on my health, which is doing physiotherapy, working full time. And I took a sketch comedy writing class. I wrote 4 sketches. I had a bunch of meetings where I got a lot of clarity on how I'm supposed to approach this whole TV show project thing. I was journaling every day. I was doing my morning pages every day. That is a lot of work. Now, mind you, is that a sculpture that I can show you right now? No, it's not. And writing the morning pages, reflecting on all of those things every day, made it feel a lot more real, made these small steps that I'm taking towards achieving this goal a lot more tangible, despite the fact that you're still laying bricks, but there's no house yet. 9:58 p.m. The day after I recorded my YouTube video, and I just finished writing my script. and I wanted to just talk about the emotional peaks and valleys of writing. In the past 2 days, I have went from like the most paralyzing amount of analysis on like, am I really a writer? Like, am I really an artist? Is this all just like a farce? Am I just wasting my time? Am I wasting other people's time? Am I just kidding myself? It's like, what do I even have to say? And this physically manifests in a very uncomfortable amount of anxiety, and like the most obsessive behavior. And then when I start writing, so like it's like a huge bottom. And then when I start writing, I'm like, ugh, what am I even doing? Like, this is just the worst. Like, why am I even kidding myself? Like, who would want to read this to like, oh my God, am I incredible at this? Mind you, this is like a first draft. I'm sure it's going to get slaughtered by my friends who are going to review it. But going to the depths of my self-worth to like this crazy, I don't want to say like, in this instance, it wasn't that bad, but like I gave myself 6 days to do this, and I actually ended up doing it in 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's how much I was dreading it. And I don't know why I was dreading it. I actually really, really enjoyed it. Like, I laughed, I cried, I did all of the things that while I'm just writing, and it's like 10 pages. Like, what is the big, I don't want to say it's not a big deal because like, yay, good job, Zaid. Like, you finished it, but also, you get what I'm saying though, right? I think you do.